Hey, what is going on, guys? This is Knight here, and I'm coming back at you again today, people, with a brand new Fortnite video. And in today's video, I'm going to be ranking my top 15 favorite weapons in Fortnite. So I know my channel is typically based around skins and cosmetics and all that sorts of stuff, but I thought it'd be a little fun change of pace to instead talk about the weapons in Fortnite, because that is actually something that I am quite enthusiastic about. I think it's kind of enjoyable to talk about the weapons, talk about the gun meta, which ones are good, which ones are bad, and what ones are my personal favorites. So if you do enjoy it, then please do me a favor and leave a big fat thumbs up and subscribe. That would be greatly appreciated. And with that said, let's just jump right into it. Alright, so starting off our list at the number 15 position, everyone. This is actually going to be the SemiAuto sniper. Now, I know most people would probably claim that they would just always rather have a bolt action over this weapon, and I completely understand that. As I've gotten better at the game over time, I've come more to understand that mindset, but I don't know. There's just always been something about the SemiAuto that's just always felt good to me. I think mainly it does branch off from the fact, though, that while I am solid at the game, I've never been good at sniping. It is definitely, without a doubt, my weakest element of the game. So I personally really enjoy having those extra shots in case I miss, because a lot of times I do miss. And even though it doesn't do as much damage as the bolt, and realistically, you know, you do better with the bolt action, you're going to do better in sniper battles anyways. There's just, I feel like I can definitely do some damage downrange with this thing, and then I can push up close and then move in with my AR or with my shotgun, and then that is when I can get the kill on them. So, again, this is coming from the mindset of someone who definitely admits I'm trash at sniping. But I don't know, again, just personally, there's just always been something about the SemiAuto that I've personally really enjoyed about it. Alright, and now moving on to number 14, I gave this one to the Infantry Rifle. Now, definitely the best versions of this are clearly the purple and gold ones, but honestly, I would even go as far as to say that the blue and green ones are solid. Typically, I will pick this thing up if I ever can and I have a spare inventory slot. Honestly, it's a very good gun. It's one of those guns that I personally think has a bit of a learning curve to it. It does take some skill, but if you're good with it, you will be rewarded. I think the gold one does like 44 damage a shot, and so if you can just, you know, tap, 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 bam, that is almost an instant kill right there. It's nuts. It's nuts. It does a really good amount of damage, but again, you also have to be good with it. You can't just give a noob an infantry rifle and all know they're gonna beat everyone in the game instantly. It's not like that. So that's the thing I kind of enjoy about it, and in a way, I almost kind of consider it like the pump action of ARs. Alright, now moving on to our number 13 spot. I gave this one to the hunting rifle, but I'm specifically talking about the purple and gold ones. Now, the blue one and green one are, you know, they're fine, but the purple and gold ones I personally just enjoy a lot because they have that very, very reduced bloom. So honestly, whenever this thing is put into the game, if I ever open it from a chest, it's like the one sniper that I typically won't be frustrated if I, you know, open from my first chest. Typically, you open your first chest in a game, and it's a sniper, you're pretty much thinking, oh, okay, well now I'm screwed. But, I don't know, you get one of the hunting rifles, it's actually not that bad, because typically, there's a good chance you'll be able to no-scope the guy. And on top of that, the gold one does 100 damage to the body, which in my opinion was always one of the few weaknesses of the hunting rifle. It was always able to do 200 to the head, but the gold one, when it does 100 to the body, that just feels so much better than doing 80, especially if you're playing like gun game or something. So overall, definitely one of my favorite snipers. Alright, now moving on to our number 12 spot. This is going to be the grenade launcher. I'm sure most people would probably expect me to put the quad launcher or RPG on the list, but no, for me, my personal favorite explosive weapon, it's gotta be the grenade launcher. I honestly just think it's so satisfying when you have a grenade launcher and you see, like, you know, a giant set of structures or a giant base with someone camping in it. Grenade launcher, base, boom, base gone. It is just nuts. It absolutely decimates builds, and when you're loading the thing up, there's a good chance that you'll even get a kill with it as well. So it might not be quite as good at actually eliminating players like the other explosive weapons are, but I think just because of how much damage it does to structures, that makes it so much more fun to use, and therefore it's my favorite explosive weapon. Alright, and now moving on to our number 11 spot. This is going to be the LMG. Now, I try not to put too many spray weapons on the list because I personally am someone who actually wishes the game didn't have any spraying at all, but as far as some of the spray weapons that are actually fun go, this is definitely one of them. I personally have always just enjoyed using this weapon. I'm not even sure what it is about it, but I think I literally remember having a clip from Season 4 where I got my hands on one of these things early game and I literally had no other guns, and every single guy that came up to me, I just lit them up with the LMG, and it tore through people. I literally could walk right through people with this gun. It was a little bit insane. But it's also understandable that they, it is definitely considered OP to some extent, and I get that. But I would say this is one of those times where it's kind of like a fun OP, at least it was for me. But yeah, I definitely don't think it's one that should be added back to the game. Alright, and now moving on to our number 10 spot. This is going to be my personal favorite sniper rifle in the game, and one that I would also say is actually a pretty underrated weapon. It's going to be the Storm Scout sniper rifle. To me, this is literally the SemiAuto, except it does more damage, it can do 200 to the head, and you can read the storm with it. So, honestly, I think just that alone makes it one of my favorite weapons. And plus, I don't know, I just feel like whenever I'm in a no-scope battle with someone, screwing around creative or something, and I use this thing, I just feel like it performs well. I'm not even sure what it is about it. I think the bullet just literally goes more straight out of this gun than it does all the other guns. I mean, I don't really understand it, but in my honest opinion, this is definitely one of the most underrated weapons in the game, especially as far as snipers go. Alright, and now moving on to our number 9 spot, I gave this one to the lever action shotgun. First of all, can we just talk about how much fun this shotgun is just because of the animation it has? I mean, every single time you shoot this thing, your character does, like Terminator style, flips it around their wrist before shooting it again. That alone, I think, just makes it a really awesome weapon. But not only is it just, fun in that sense, but on top of that, it also does a pretty solid amount of damage. I think every single one except for the gray does like a little bit over 100 damage, and then I think like maybe 120, 30-ish for the head, somewhere around that area, I think. So it's really good, but it's not overpowered, it's not ridiculous, and I think that's a good balance for the shotgun. Yeah, personally, I'm a big fan, and if I ever have to use one shotgun, this is definitely one of my go-tos. Alright, and now moving on to our number 8 position. This is going to be the heavy shotgun, which is, again, I would say another pretty underrated weapon. I actually really enjoy using this in creative. I typically use the pump, but, if I'm ever bored, I'll see this thing, I'll pick it up, switch things up, and I think it's actually a very fun gun to use. It is a little bit broken because I feel like the headshots sometimes literally just don't register at all. I feel like most shotguns in Fortnite are like that, but this one is definitely the worst about it in my opinion. But even though it does have that issue, it's still, again, just a very fun gun. It has, I think, the most range out of any shotgun now that the combat got nerfed. So, just, going from like 5 to 10 meters, still hitting people for 70 with this thing, and 193 for headshots. It's a little bit insane, but it doesn't feel overpowered either. Alright, and now moving on to our number 7 spot, I gave this one to the rapid fire SMG. Now, like I said before, I'm trying my best to steer clear of the spray weapons on this list for the most part, but I could not include this one because it's just one of my personal favorites, and also I'm specifically referring to the purple and gold versions. The gray through blue ones aren't necessarily bad, but I think the problem is because I have such a small magazine that it almost just feels like I don't know, it just feels like it makes the gun like a little bit too hard to use, if that makes sense. But with the purple and gold ones, you get those extra 6 bullets in the magazine, and that makes all the difference. But I don't think it necessarily makes it too overpowered either. It's only, again, I think it's only overpowered if you know how to use it, because it has such a small magazine, you have to hit your shots. And if you don't hit your shots, then you might have screwed yourself. But if you do hit your shots, then you will obliterate people. Alright, now moving on to our number 6 spot. This is going to be the good old-fashioned pump shotgun. Now, there's multiple versions of the pump that we could talk about. We could talk about when you could double pump, or when you could sniper pump, or whatever, but even though it's not as OP as it used to be, and I do think it actually could still use some changes, it's still a really good gun, and if you're good with it, you will decimate people. I didn't used to like it, however. I used to only ever use the TAC, and while I do still think I prefer the TAC a little bit, this is still a gun that I'm much more comfortable with. I do think it's actually very fun to use if I compare it with something like a Deagle or a Revolver or something along those lines. So, it's a gun that, while it's not my personal favorite, it's still a very, very good fan favorite that everyone loves. It's a classic, and it comes in at number 6. Alright everyone, now cracking into the top 5, this is going to be the classic, good old faithful Scar. Yeah, this is still a weapon that is, even to this day, still one of the best. It is top tier, and it has hardly ever even been touched in terms of stats. It's actually nuts that it's managed to be this good, this far into the game. I mean, 35 and 36 damage a shot, that is honestly a little bit mental, because if you get into someone's box spraying with this thing, people don't even realize you don't even need an SMG. This thing can literally 3 hits to someone, that is 100 damage. Just bang, 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 shotgun, dead. It's honestly nuts. But, you know, it's just a gun that, like, even if it is OP, it's just something that we've all gotten so used to and so familiar with that no one even cares by this point. Genuinely, no one cares by this point. It's a fun weapon. It's the classic weapon. I mean, it's the Scar. What's not to love? Alright, and now moving on to our number 4 spot. This is going to be the AUG. Now, don't get me wrong, I still love the Scar, but in my opinion, I honestly think that the AUG beats it out as the best assault rifle in the game. I absolutely love this thing. It does incredible amounts of damage. I think like 37 for either the purple or the gold one, and it just has a really awesome firing mechanism ever since they changed it to being a 2-shot burst rather than a 3-shot. And it's, again, I think one of those weapons that is like, it takes a little bit of skill. I would say it takes a little more skill than the standard AR, but if you get good with this thing, it is a laser beam. I mean, it is nuts how much accuracy this thing has. You will just be beaming people from across the map. It has such good accuracy, such good range, such good damage, but it can't exactly be spammed, so in that sense, it's not entirely OP. It's such a good gun. Alright, and now moving on to our number 3 spot. This is going to be a really big fan favorite of mine. It's going to be the Deagle, or the hand cannon, whatever you call it. Some people might have actually expected this to come in at number 1 if they know me personally, and while it isn't, unfortunately, it's still a phenomenal weapon. I love to use this thing. I love using it with the pump and making the pump Deagle combo, which is essentially the next best thing to double pump, and in some senses, it actually is even a little bit better than double pump, I would say. And dude, the range of this thing, 75 damage a shot, and downrange it still does like 50, and then it does 150 for headshots and 100 downrange. It's an incredible gun, and if you know how to use that first shot accuracy to your advantage, if you've gotten good with it like I have, it's so satisfying. It is such a great gun, and I get so excited when I see this thing, and it is definitely my favorite gun that they've added this season. Alright, and now moving on to our number 2 spot, this is going to be the TAC shotgun. The good old classic TAC shotgun, one of the OG weapons, and it's still one of the best in my opinion. Now, it has gone through quite a few changes over the span of the seasons. It's had its lows, it's had its highs, and in my opinion right now, it's exactly where it needs to be. It is such a good gun, and honestly, I would say if I can only use one shotgun, this is probably my number 1 go-to. It's so good. Getting like 87 off and then like 130 to the head, being able to just blast people like 2 to 3 times with this thing in a box. It's so good. Such a good shotgun. Even to this day, I absolutely love this thing, but it just doesn't quite be our number 1 spot. Alright, but then finally topping off our list at the number 1 spot, this might actually come as a little bit of a shock to a lot of you. This is going to be the dual pistols. Dude, honestly, if there's any pistol that can top the Deagle for me, it's these things. They are just, I don't even want to say that they're the best weapon in the game, but they are without a doubt my favorite. They are so much fun. I love running these things. They're so great, and honestly, I feel like in close range, I can dominate shotguns with them. Like, they are genuinely that good. They're just so much fun to use. I love them, and I hope they bring them back to the game soon, because they are amazing. Just such an amazing weapon. I love having them. They're such a fun item to the game, and in my opinion, because of how much I enjoy them, I could not give them the number 1. Alright guys, that's going to wrap it up for today's video. I hope you all enjoyed. If you did, please feel free to leave a big fat thumbs up and subscribe. That would be greatly appreciated. And don't forget to leave a comment down below telling me what are some of your favorite weapons in Fortnite. I want to see your guys' opinions in the comments. But with that said, I hope you all enjoyed, and I will see you guys in the next one. Goodbye.